build that I've been working on. There's actually two of them. It's going to be two different videos. They're both explosives builds. This one is the BTSU gloves-based one, which is used in the raid for clearing ads and dogs. It's actually very, very useful. I also use it for like doing control point level 4s and various stuff. I'll go over the variations. You know, if you're playing solo, whether you're in a squad, if it's a raid, there's different skills that you might want to use. And the other video, which is going to be on a, a different video, or the other build is going to be on a different video. It is basically just for killing Buddy and Lucy with the grenade launcher. It's not really a proper build that you would use for anything other than that. Now, the base of this build is the BTSU gloves. And these things are really awesome for skill builds or whatever you want to kill them, or call them. I am just all over the place today. So, elemental gadgetry. Skills that apply status effects gain 50% status effect duration and 50% skill haste. So, any skill that you have that gives a status effect gives that. And that's pretty awesome. So, I'll show you the ones that I use. It's pretty much between the Firefly, if I'm doing regular PvE stuff, and in the raid, I use the EMP Pulse. Both of those are really good choices. Now, energy infusion. Whenever you apply a status effect, your gloves become infused with that effect for 60 seconds. This is really important. While infused, you gain, this is the most important thing, 10% skill damage. Also 10% healing, and 10% repair, and 10% skill duration for each yellow attribute or mod slot, every yellow that you have. So right now I have 16. Perfect would be 17. I'm still missing one yellow on my backpack. But each one of those, this is 160% skill damage that I have here. Applying the same status effect while infused does not refresh the infusion. Now, charged proxies. Whenever you throw a skill, 1.25 seconds after landing, it creates an explosion, applying the infused status effect to all enemies within 6 meters. So say you've got blind, or whatever you want to call it, and it's on your gloves, and you throw a seeker mine into the crowd. There's a small little explosion, and it applies the blind, which is pretty cool. Here's what's even nicer about that. Enemies affected by the infused status effect take 50% more damage from your skills. So when you're using seeker mines, instead of just dropping them on the floor like some people do by double tapping, you want to actually throw those seeker mines into the enemies. And as you can see, I'm not infused. So, wrong skill. I'm going to show you the version that I use when I'm, actually, I'll go through the raid version first. I'll just show you the gear, and we can explain how it works, I guess, afterwards. First off, really important, Sokolov mask. Now, in the raid, this is a very, very important piece to have with spotter, but if you're not running in a group with someone who's pulsing, this spotter does not really help. So that's kind of a downside of this. I would actually prefer to have this Sokolov mask with destructive or damage to elites on it, hard hitting or destructive. But the one that I found like that, I gave away. I was kind of joking to a friend that, hey, I found the mask you wanted. But it ended up being, not spotter. And I wish I didn't give it away because I really wish I had that now. But very important, it's the only mask that can get 2 yellows, a talent, and a red attribute on it, which you want to be damage to elites. These yellows are also really important. If you don't have this, you can always use like a Gila mask. Gila mask always rolls blue, but you could get a blue with the red, roll it to damage to elites, and you have the yellow mod slot. Definitely not the best choice because that one right there is backpack. This is a hard piece right here. This is a very hard piece to get. So a perfect backpack here would have 4 yellows. 2 yellows on the attributes and 2 yellows on the mod slots. These backpacks can roll all sorts of different colors, so it's hard to get. I prefer double passive talents, destructive and hard hitting, but some people like to run skilled on their talent. Skilled here is pretty cool. Skill kills have 25% chance to reset skill cooldowns. Now, unfortunately, when you're using your seeker mines, when they're going out there and shooting or blowing up bad guys, they're not on cooldown yet. So kills that you get with your Seeker Mines don't usually proc this, and that's kind of sad. But kills with your Merciless, if you get the kill with the explosion, can proc this, and that's really awesome. So skilled can be really useful for resetting those cooldowns. A lot of people choose to use it, or they go with hard hitting. Depends on your backpack. This is definitely my best backpack, I think. I've got another one here. It's also 3 yellows, so it's the same backpack, but with skilled instead. It's really hard. Now that I'm starting to use the Merciless more, I might go back to the skilled backpack. When I first started playing with this build, which hasn't been long, I could not use the Merciless for the life of me, but I've started getting used to it, and I really enjoy it. So keep your eye out for these backpacks. Hard to get. I think it's one of the most difficult items in the game to actually get with the perfect rolls. Chest piece. It's another real important one. Ongoing Directive is the only chest that can do this. You need 4 yellows, and you want one of those yellows to be explosive damage. It's not very common, and it can only drop on Ongoing Directive chests. So keep that in mind, and don't delete these, even if they look crappy. It doesn't matter what the other attribute. I haven't even re-rolled this. I guess I could roll it to higher skill power if I had needed to. I don't really need any weapon damage, but I could roll it to weapon damage, whatever. And it's pretty sweet. Keep in mind, yellow mods, it's really important that you put explosives damage mods in every slot possible. As long as you have enough skill power to unlock your skills talents, you want to make sure you're putting these explosives damage mods in there. They add up. There's a lot. I have 8 mod slots. Unfortunately, I don't quite have enough skill power, so one of my mods is a Seeker Pulse skill power mod. But I think I can get rid of that if I was to, roll this chest piece to higher skill power, which I haven't done yet. And I should. Gloves, obviously, they're always the same. The BTSU gloves, they're pretty easy to get. It's really just RNG. Any Black Tusk, what's it called? Medics. The medics are the only ones that drop these. They don't need to be bosses. They can even just be red medics, but you can get them in the new Camp David or Camp, whatever the new camp mission is. You can get them in, I'm drawing a blank. It's been so long since Tidal Basin. All sorts of different missions you can get them. They're just a random drop. Best bet, if you don't have them, is to play with some friends that already do, and hopefully they find them and give them to you. Holster. This is a real important holster to have. It's the only one that gives you 4 yellows. So you've got the 2 yellow attributes and 2 yellow mod slots. It's Ongoing Directive again. The reason you want the yellows, obviously, is for that 10% for each yellow that you have. Plus the 2 yellow mod slots let you get the explosives damage mods in there. Ooh, this one kind of sucks. It's only 2.5. The best I've ever found is 3.5, but I've heard there's like 5.5s out there. If you don't have an Ongoing Directive holster like this, maybe you bought that Wyvern holster that I was letting people know about last week. It's a weird holster. It shouldn't be like this. 2 yellow attributes and a talent with a red mod slot. So this isn't that bad. I mean, you're getting 2 of these, so that's, 10% damage there each. And then you have the talent you could roll to destructive if you had some spares of these. So then you'd still be getting 40% damage. The only thing you'd be missing out on is the skill power and explosives damage from the actual mod slots themselves. There's other holsters that can do that. You could get it with a Fenris double yellow. And I don't know what else can roll double yellow with a talent. I know Wyvern doesn't normally, but keep that in mind. Knee pads, there's not really much options here. For me, the only option is China. You get 1 piece here for the 10% explosives damage, a yellow attribute, and the talent being destructive. There is no yellow mod slot for these knee pads, unfortunately. So I put damage to armor. I mean, I don't use a shotgun or whatever. I just have this in there. It's a random mod that has damage to armor. So that's pretty nice because that does help with your Seeker Mines. As far as guns go, I highly recommend the Merciless. I know it's weird and it takes a little bit of getting used to, but one tip that I can give is instead of going side to side like I see a lot of people do, go up and down. And it's much more natural feeling for me. If you don't know what this gun does, it's really weird. When you click the trigger once, it fires 2 bullets. One when you click it, one when you release it. So you want to aim at the enemy, click once, then move up, let go. And you can just kind of get the timings down. And what happens is you embed explosives into them. And you can embed up to 5. Each one you put in there is 75% more damage. And then when you hit them with one of the detonators, the second shot that comes out, they explode. And it's really amazing. This thing does some serious damage. And mine is still gear score 450. I got to upgrade it. I didn't even realize that. That's kind of funny. But yeah, definitely going to upgrade that because that's pretty weak. And just recently started using it, and I'm actually really enjoying it. It is an awesome gun when you get the feel for it. It doesn't work very good on chungas anymore, but everything else it just absolutely destroys. Plus, it helps generate your ammo from explosive kills, and can pop skilled, the talent. Now, the other gun that I use is an assault rifle with spike. Assault rifles actually transfer, if you have it in your hands, this health damage to your seeker mines. So things that don't have armor, it doesn't really matter. But I have noticed this health damage is the only one of all the guns I've tested that actually transfers that to your seeker mines damage output. And spike is a nice skill to have. Headshot kills grant 35% skill damage for 20 seconds. This isn't the greatest gun. Preferably, you would have either rooted or what's the little metronome called? In rhythm. So rooted or in rhythm are the 2 talents that I like to have. Rooted is even more important, I think. While equipped and in cover, equipped doesn't mean you have to have the pistol out. Equipped just means it's equipped on your character. All skill damage and healing is increased by 25% for 10 seconds. Buff is lost when exiting cover, and it only happens once every 60 seconds. It's nice. It's 25% more damage. And you can get it, for some seeker mines. It's not that important, but it's definitely useful. Let's see. There's another one that I found that's got a pretty sweet attribute. Depending on your skills, recharged can be good. While equipped, skills deployed at full armor have 25% duration, charges, and ammo. Depends if you're, using some other skills other than what I'm using. But what I use is a cluster seeker mine. And let's see here. In this slot, I've got 80% damage. In this slot, I've got 95% damage. And in this one, I have skill haste. Now, the reason I do this is because I used to put a bunch of extra mines. I know some people think I'm crazy for not putting extra mines, which sometimes I do run them, sometimes I don't. It depends. Now, the cluster seeker mine always has 4 already. Now, the thing is they can only hit each target once. Occasionally, if they're grouped up, the splash damage from these explosions, they're only 4 meters, so it's not very big, can do damage to both targets. But in general, each seeker mine can only hit 1 target once. So if there's 4 enemies out there and you have 10 mines, 6 of those mines are wasted. So what I really want is a cooldown reduction in this slot, skill haste. But I don't have it yet. I'm still trying to get one. And for the time being, I just put 80% more damage instead of more mines. It's up to you guys. If you like to run with more mines, go ahead. If you want more damage, go ahead. If you want better cooldown reduction, that's also another option. Now, there is a trick to these seeker mines, and I guess you could call it an exploit. I don't know if they're going to fix it, but when you throw your seeker mine out, hold down the button. So you hit, for me, Q, you throw it, and then just continue to hold it down. What happens is they go out, they find their little targets and blow up, but you've already started the deconstruct on them, and you get half the cooldown. Notice that? So if I just throw it and don't do anything, they're going to blow up, and I'm going to get, an 11-second cooldown. And that's a long time. I want my cooldown better than that. That's why I want that other skill haste mod, But check this out. It's really, really good. If you throw it and hold down Q or E, it starts deconstructing, they still blow up, and boom, 5-second cooldown. If you get your cooldown to the 8s, you'll see a 3-second cooldown. And that's my goal. That way you can just sit there and spam these things like crazy. A lot of people don't know about this, and I would expect it to get changed in the future. But in the meantime, it's amazing. Now, in the raid, I think it's really important to use the jammer pulse. I hang out by the doors where the dogs spawn, and when they come out, you use a jammer pulse, and it disables them and does tons of damage, and it's just pretty much instant kills them. I run super skill haste on it. Both mod slots are skill haste because this thing's got a pretty long cooldown. Even with both of these mod slots almost perfect skill haste rolls, it's still a 15-second cooldown. And it's not the most useful as far as like for charging your gloves up, because you do need to get close to the enemies. I usually have my teammates leave one of the ads in the very beginning of the raid alive so I can run past him and get my gloves infused with it. Now, if I'm not running the raid, my favorite is the Firefly Blinder drone, or whatever this thing's called, the Firefly Blinder. What I have is just some random stuff in there, skill haste, speed, and some max targets. It's not as important, but what you do is you just throw it. It's a paper airplane, and it goes and blinds things. Now my gloves are infused, so we can throw our little seekers, hold it down, and now it does some serious damage, which is pretty cool. I really want to get this to a 3-second seeker mine, which would be around 8 seconds on my cooldown. And man, it is strong. Here, let's make these yellows. Oops. Let's see what kind of damage we get. Serious damage. Like they're hitting real hard. I see it regularly over 2 million. If you have a pulse out there, it's going to be hitting a lot harder as well. The pulse is extremely strong. Let's see right now. What am I hitting for? Oh, my gloves aren't infused. Rip. We got to infuse them gloves again. It's really important that your gloves are infused or the build's not nearly as strong. It's a big difference in damage. For me, 160% damage. Alright, so let's try this again. Now there's going to be that initial little explosion. And then boom. 1.65 million. That's pretty damn good. 1.65 million. Without a pulse out. So my spotter's useless right now. But super strong. Really fun to use. And when you get used to this Merciless, it's really not that bad. I'm still pretty bad at it, but as you can see, it's... And you don't need to stack it so many times. It depends on the health. 3 times is probably enough to just destroy these things. Let's see what 2 does. Yeah, 2 is still enough. Now, if you just shoot it like a regular gun, it's not that strong. It blows up for 76,000. That was 700,000. $1.6 million. So, as you can see, really strong. And this build is not even designed for doing rifle damage. I don't even know if I have rifles spec'd into my skill tree at the moment. I should, because it does make that go, higher. Let's see here. I'm pretty sure I don't even have it spec'd at the moment. I do not. So I'm going to respec that so I have rifle damage. Because prior to this, I was using an LMG. And I'm not going to use that anymore. I'm going to use the rifle for sure. because I actually really like the Merciless now. I used to run an LMG with the Eagle Bearer just for, you know, killing things while I was waiting for my cooldowns. But now that I'm more used to the build, this is how I'm running it. And I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. I know for a while I said I would never do a skill build, but if you don't have a couple of these in the raid, at least 2, the raid is just so much slower. I'm going to have another video that's really important for the raid if you're wanting to instantly kill Buddy and Lucy. It's a different build. I can give you a little preview of it. It's right here. It looks a lot different. It's more explosives damage, more damage to elites. It doesn't have the gloves, but it's all about doing damage with your grenade launcher. It's a much more simple build to put together, but it's really only useful for one part, and that's the Buddy and Lucy fight. So you can just unload your grenade launchers. If you have 2 really good demolitionist builds that have the proper gear, you can instantly kill Buddy and Lucy before they kill anybody or move. It takes a couple of seconds. Now, if you don't have perfect builds, it'll take 3 of you. 3 guys running mediocre explosive builds will drop Buddy and Lucy in just a couple of seconds. So check that one out. That'll be up as well. And thank you guys so much. Don't forget to check me out live, twitch.tv/Inigo Montoya. If I forgot anything, I'm sorry. It's been a while since I made a build video, so I probably sat here and rambled. But hey, thank you guys so much. Don't forget to check out my other videos and hit that follow button or subscribe button, whatever it's called on YouTube. Later, guys.